How the heck are everybody? I am Fastidious. Welcome to my channel and welcome to this week's edition of Should You Summon. This is a weekly video I release the evening before that weekend's banner or banners where I address the question, should you summon? As always, we're going to do it for all spending groups, those being free-to-play, low-spend, mid-spender, dolphin, and whale. As for you Krakens, of course you're summoning. Have a great time doing it. And also all game progression player types. So early game, mid-game, late game, and end game. I'm going to do my best right now, guys. There is a ton to cover, and I have to leave in 30 minutes to go get dinner with my grandmother. You know, got to get that grandson brownie point duty in.
Fastidious.
Fastidious.
So, we've got crazy banners. Let's start off with the weirdest one of all. This April Fool's banner, I do not know what to make of it. Sorry to start here, but it's so bizarre. We've got a 15x rate up. Again, 15x on all of this stuff this weekend. No 10x anymore, at least for this weekend. Hopefully, we never have to do 10x moving forward. We just stick with the 15x. We got Apsan, who is not terrible. I know some people really don't like this guy. Destined and say he's the worst hero in the game. I don't agree with that, but I do agree with the fact that he's not that special. And the thing is, he's just immediately outclassed by so many units. He does have a Piercer, faction membership, but I will say he doesn't benefit too much. His range, if you see here, it looks like this. It just fills out the sides. It doesn't get any longer. So basically, when it comes to hitting aerial units, he's strictly outclassed by all the other options, essentially, when it comes to like Zilitu or even Aracha, and certainly Arrogance. So I get why Destin doesn't like the guy. He's kind of a bummer. Could he be good in the new Pelagios Poseidon Codex, the anti-air codex? Maybe, but the fact that he's there, and then the other, this would be the big ticket item, is Nyx. I mean, I do love Nyx, but she's super niche as an AoE marksman. There's only so much that these guys can do. It feels like an April Fool's joke. It really, really does. So if we look over here, you can see it's coming right here on Monday, April the 1st, so I guess technically right after the weekend. I am concerned, so that's why I want to start off the video. I want to voice my concern that I think they're going to do a switcheroo, and they're going to say, April Fools, it's not actually this bad banner, it's a good banner. And if that's your plan, Moonton, I don't think you should do that, because people are going to be so annoyed, they're going to feel baited by all these banners, then it's going to come up on this banner, and then if it turns out, oh, just kidding, it's not Apsan and Nyx, it's actually Hotsoot and Arrogance or something, people I think are going to be pretty livid, because they'll have completely busted their load, but we'll see. I will say these are amazing epics on this banner. The best epic DPS in the game, either Maul or Idril. I mean, incredibly endgame. Not as good a hero in general as Idril, but for progression and early mid-game accounts, into the late and endgame as well, if you're hurting for it. Maul is so viable. And then Dolores, I'll say it. I've been working on Gear Aid 4 basically 13 of the past 24 hours. She's the best hero in the game. I was having troubles with my damage. Look who I turned to. The best hero in the game. It's always Dolores. I don't care about Praetus or Silas anymore. I'm back on the bandwagon. She's so irreplaceable. What she does is so nuts. She's 5 costs, blah, blah, blah. This is so huge. So people, I know it hurts people when they hit 1,000 summons without Dolores, 1,500 without Dolores, 2,500, 5,000. I don't know. If you're 5,000 without Dolores, I pray for your soul. But a lot of people, they still need their Dolores, or you need your A1 Dolores, and you don't have Soul Stones. This is kind of huge, right? So that makes me think maybe it's not a joke, but it's on April Fool's. It's one day. We've only had, I don't know if we've ever had a one-day banner before, maybe once or twice. I think once or twice we have, but even the New Year's Day special banner was 2 days. This is a one-day banner, and it's frickin' 2 common bucket legendary heroes, Apsan and Nyx. Really not sexy options here. I don't know what to make of it. I feel like it's a joke, and I feel like they're going to piss a bunch of people off because they're going to say, switcheroo, it's actually a really good banner, and then everyone will have exhausted all their resources. So what are people gonna exhaust their resources on? Transition. Let's talk about probably the biggest ticket banner we've seen in a long time. I mean, it's even hard to say because we see them all the time. But these are the 2 best, not counting Legendary Lords, even counting them, maybe still. But just for normal heroes in the game, these are the 2 best Guild Boss DPS units in the whole game. We have got Zilitu and we've got Hex, and it's not even close. Silas can be really special in like an Aracha team. He can outrank one or the other depending on what you're up against. But in general, let's just kick it off with my team. Who are the top 2 guys? Let's scroll down. Why am I on world ranks? As if I would ever show up there. Not yet, at least. If we go here, look at that. Hex and Zilitu. Surprise, surprise. Look at my Arrogance putting in absolute work. Let's go to world rankings. Let's find anyone with the proper team. We're looking for like Twin Fiend teams. Here you go, Zilitu and Hex, and there's Silas right behind. He's coming in at number 3rd. We're not going to look at Soul Cadence teams because he totally zaps the other Infernals. But if we look here, that's a Nightmare squad. What do we got? What do we got? There's a Twin Fiend team. Look at that, Hex and Zilitu. It's very much a pattern on all the best teams in the world, and it goes all the way down. I can scroll all the way down to 60. Here you go. Thank you, Mr. Well, I couldn't have picked a harder one to pronounce. Oh, there's Squatch. Shout out to Squatch. But Eraskigal coming in there. What do you look at it? Crazy Silas, actually. What the hell is going on with this Silas? We're going to have to hit this guy up. But look at that. Number 2, number 3, Zilitu and Hex. I mean, there is a pattern here, guys. This banner's crazy. It's a 2x by 15x. So what does that mean? Well, there's 2 instances of RNG when you roll. The first instance is, what will the rarity of the hero you're getting be? That is the 2x. Normally, you have a 0.5% chance to get a legendary hero. Now that will be doubled, right? So instead of being a 0.5% chance, so the 0.04 here plus 0.46, this will go to 0.08 and 0.92. That's 1%. So you're twice as likely to pull a legendary hero to begin with. What is the 15x? Well, once you have that, you're now 15 times more likely that one of the heroes you get will be either Hex, Zilitu, or Razak. So maybe a good time to talk about Razak. I haven't mentioned him yet. I will say I think he's going to be tremendously good for the Poseidon Codex, the one that's coming, the Pelagios Codex, the Anti-Air, the Furious Torrent. I had a great video about it yesterday if you want to check that out. But you can see over here on top of that, it's not a coincidence he's running alongside Reeve, who we'll talk about very, very quickly. And very shortly, I should say. You see, as a passive bond skill, once you have Reeve, you're going to get a bonus effect that all XP obtained in any battle that Razak and Reeve are on your roster, you're going to get 5% more. On top of that, in general, even if you don't have Reeve, that's another 5%. So just by having him and he's in the battle, he doesn't even need to be deployed, that's 5% more XP than he would have earned. If Reeve is there too, now it's 10%. So that synergizes really well. It's a very cool and unique bond skill. People in chat, I'm on Twitch right now, are saying, Jake is saying they should have done Reeve and Razak together. I kind of agree. But I'll say between that and the fact that he's got some big boy AoE, he's going to be more viable because more people are going to get Reeve, and then we also have this new Codex boss coming. But obviously, this guy is nothing compared to the other two, and he's going to be a big disappointment. This is a common bucket legendary, and I think a lot of people are bracing themselves for disappointment and to pull Razak. So that adds an interesting wrinkle into this. So who is on the other banner over here? Well, it's going to be Reeve. This is where we're going to talk for a minute, and then I will conclude with all my thoughts for all those spending groups, all those player progression groups. But I think a lot of people don't fully understand Reeve's kit. Reeve is doing a lot of things, right? He is the only tank from his faction, from the Cultists. I believe I am correct about that. Let's see, faction members. Yeah, he's the only tank in his whole faction. I actually didn't even know that that button brought you this. So that makes him unique already. So he's going to be an absolute god in faction trials. That being said, I do believe the Cultists have the easiest faction trials of any faction in the game. But on, being the tank, so he's got some tankiness. He also brings some big boy damage and some really, really nice crowd control. So what am I talking about? You can see here he can build up attack speed. That's really nice for every 4 enemies killed. To be fair, he would need to kill 40 enemies to max this thing out at 100, but it's something to keep building him up. You can see he deals some magic damage from his basic. He's a magic damage dealing defender. Over here during the ultimate now, each attack is a big AoE, multiple enemies, and now crowd control, a big stun, a really cool stun, gonna last for a full second. You can see the duration can go up to 1.5 seconds. This ult can last for a really long time, so just constantly stunning. It's pretty incredible. Combine that with the amazing slows, and this is not conditional on hits or anything. Any enemies that are near him in adjacent tiles, they will be slowed. It starts at 5 enemies. It can be up to 10 enemies. So Reeve in front of the wall, if you're running a Cultist team in Gear Raid 1 or Gear Raid 4, Reeve is just nuts. He is bonkers good with this crowd control. Cultists are so meta in Gear Raid 1 and absolutely meta right now in Gear Raid 4. Trust me, I know. We look at this passive now. When attacking an enemy under control, so this any crowd control effect, slow, immobilize, freeze, stun, 2 of which he does, right? Slow and stun. That's going to give him a nice health restore. So you don't have to be too afraid to build him with a lot of damage because he'll be keeping himself healed up pretty well. He's crazy. This is a 3% health restore just on every hit. It's not dependent on the damage he puts out. And it goes up to a 7% restoration. I'm so excited to get him. I'll tell you right now, I'm going for him. I'll go more into my plans later on. But that's really amazing. And if you didn't think he did enough already, the same thing Razak had with that 5% XP boost, he has it 6% any battle you bring him into. He doesn't even need to be deployed. Goes up to 12% if Razak is on the squad too. So an extra 6%. just a wacky tobacco unit. I think he's so good, and a lot of people are like, I don't even know where to use Reeve. He's super viable in Conqueror for Codex. He's very viable in Tank Codex. He's good for Gear Aid 1. He's tremendously good for Gear Aid 4. I'll definitely put out some Reed content for Gear Aid 4 once I pull him. He would have made my life a lot easier. All in all, I just think he's a really, really, really exciting unit. He really enables a lot of cool things with the cultists because he can help pick up loose damage. You know, like if you don't have enough DPS or something, he can do some real proper damage. And he enables the boosts from Aeon or soon to be Abizu and certainly Morgan and Demi's passives where you need enemy units under some control effect because he brings a ton of it, truly a ton of it. It's really good, really good. I'll show you the base stats as well. Very, very nice. Some pretty solid, nearly 4,000 defense. Pretty solid as well, over 28,000, almost 29,000 HP, and then really high attack because he can properly deal damage. So you're talking about a damage-dealing defender who can tank, who can keep himself alive, who has some nice bonuses to bring you some more gold, and on top of all of that, an incredible, incredible source of crowd control. Love this guy. I've been wanting him since I first started playing the game. They ran his banner like end of August, beginning of September. I'd only been playing the game for like 3 weeks, and now I'm actually going to get him. And I'll show you, I actually am going to get him because look at all that. Plenty. I'm pulling everything this weekend, baby. So where do I suggest you guys pull? I didn't go into Hex and Zilitu's kits. I've covered them extensively before. If you guys want more content on them and breaking down those kits, let me know. I use them all the time in my Guild Boss takeovers that I do, many, many times a week. So you can also check out that stuff. They're both tremendous. Take my word for it. Razak is going to have a slight improvement in quality because more people are going to get Reeve. And obviously we have the new Codex coming, the Furious Torrent. Again, you can check out my video on that, but he's still going to be the poo-poo item of the bunch. So what should you do? What should you do? Well, I think a lot of us are going to be hard-pressed and not be in the position to do full pity manipulation, where you're going towards Reeve, then you kind of manipulate that you can try to get Reeve on as fresh a pity as possible with that 250 guarantee, assuming you don't get him before then. Again, let me remind you guys, you're guaranteed to get these limited banner heroes, the exclusive event exclusive heroes, within 250 summons. Not that your 250th summon is guaranteed to be that hero. It is within 250, you're guaranteed that hero. So if you've not hit them before 250, then you're guaranteed that 250 will be that hero. But if you hit them earlier, now it's just back to a normal 15x for Reeve and Siren over here. So that's important to know. So I think a lot of people can't do the pity manipulation. If you can, I say just get one Reeve. His A1 is cool, but it's not necessary. Every 4 attacks, you got a little extra 150% AoE damage and stun. Maybe it's a little cooler than cool. It's going to be a total luxury. He's already good enough as it is, but I mean, that's pretty crazy. Another 1 second stun, some more damage. But for me, the way Reeve is really going to shine is just all the base stuff and then the crazy crowd control with the crazy uptimes. A1 is nice, but that is really going to be reserved for the whales and the krakens. So I think most people that are prepared, you can go for one Reeve, maybe fit in a pity manipulation. I have videos on that. I can do a new video if you guys want to see it. And then from there, you move on to this banner. Right? If it's one or the other, really just size things up. For me, Reeve is the most important thing. I already have I'm in a unique situation. I already have an A2 Zilitu, I have an A1 Hex, and I already have been consistently maxing Nightmare Voidrift for a very long time. So we're talking about endgame players now. And I have my 50k guild boss, right? If you don't have any of those things, Zilitu, very, very good for Voidrift. Freaking Hex, elite. Shockingly good. Maybe after Silas, the best single target in the whole game. Maybe Ardia. She did his single target and AoE. Ardia has AoE. It hits so hard it feels like single target. I mean, for platformers, I mean, it's basically Silas and Hex. I bring them into every single battle. He's outrageously good. I'll say both these guys have tremendously good awakenings. So like for me, I will still summon really hard on this banner, trying to get those awakenings. But let's go in order now. What do I think you should do? First, let's probably do it with, we'll zoom in. So we'll do Spender, and then I'll break down that Spender group based on where you are in your progression in the game. So free to play, you have to summon. This is about as good as it gets, but I think you have to skip Reeve. If you're free to play, unless you've been saving for Reeve, which I think probably some people have, it's just a hard opportunity to miss. If you happen to have Hex or Zilitu and they're at awaken levels you're comfortable with, maybe if you're an OG free to play and you're super progressed in your Voidrift and your guild boss, then sure, go for like the total luxury that is Reeve. But if you need Hex or Zilitu in any way, the boost they will give your account will be greater. So I think for a free to play, you're not gonna have enough to do some crazy summoning. It's a no-brainer. As to if you should, no question. If you're obsessed with Gear Aid 4, I know a lot of people are like, I need AoE magic damage. You're not getting it over here, so that could be a reason to skip. But in general, banners 2x by 15, 2x by rate up in general, and now 2x by 15x. We've never seen that before, but 2x by rate up don't come along very often. And with this quality, man, when we've seen them in the past, it's like Constance and Allura. Good and kind of good. Or it's like Hotsit Setram, oh my god, and then Ezrein, there's the Razak. That's probably the closest example to this in terms of quality. So we've really only seen it once. I think it's super duper exciting. I think you got to pull on it free to play. Low spend will be basically exactly the same thing. If ever you were to spend, if you're really hard stuck on, something like Guild Boss or Void Rift, this is a great thing to go in on. But again, low spend, you're not really looking for the luxury of Awakenings. And again, with Reeve, I do consider Reeve a huge bonus. And if you're a collector, if you're like, you got to catch them all, Ash Ketchum, then you have to go for it because he's not coming back. He came on 7 or 8 months ago. It's going to be at least another 7 or 8 before they bring him back now. So then you go for it. Otherwise, low spender, it's going to be the same story. Mid spender, now you start thinking, these are pretty cool heroes. Do I spend a little? I think maybe you do. This is as crazy a weekend as we'll ever see. And now I'll just put it all together. Dolphin, Whale, Kraken. Of course. How could you not just completely unload on this weekend? If you're going to spend, this is why you spend. I will just now key in because I kind of did glaze over for progression types. Mid-game, Hex and Zilitu are going to completely catapult you. I look at Reeve much more as an end-game player. I guess he's got a nice early mid-game viability just because you might be hurting for gold. Take my word for it. You will not be hurting in the future. I have not activated a gold bonus in over a month. It's not something I think about. I'm always between, and I've plus 16 to so many today. I think I maxed out this event nearly without even trying. I'm always between 40 and 50 million. You will get there too. Don't pull just for that reason. He really is going to be there for like beating high-end Gear Aid 1 stuff, but really like Gear Aid 4, maybe some Void Rift, and certainly a couple codexes. That's pretty far out. It's not going to have that big a progression boost for early and mid-game that picking up a Zilitu or Hex would be. Late game, it depends where you are in the late game. So if you're just on your 21s or something, and, Reeve probably will help more if you're focused on Gear Aid 4. I mean, this is AoE magic damage, right? That is what this is. A bit harder to finesse than just plug and play a Comet, but pretty nice stuff. However, if you're in that late game where it's not about Gear Aids as much and it is about Void Rift and Guild Boss, again, this is going to be your banner. You can really think of this as kind of your like end game luxury banner, and this is your like moving from late game to end game Guild Boss and Void Rift banner. That's kind of how I would key in to it. I will say these two guys could be used on Gear Aid 4. I know Hex has some great shine. Zilitu, I'm sure stuff will come out if it hasn't already. She should work all right. But that's kind of where the distinction is. Endgame, if you're endgame, you've beaten everything. How do you not go for Reeve? Reeve, I mean, unless you already have him. Reeve is such a no-brainer. He's going to help you. He seems pretty evergreen. The amount of crowd control he's putting out, I think he's going to shine for a very, very long time. I've wanted him since he first came out, even though it was very clear he wasn't shining in the content we had back then in like September 2023. And I don't know how long he's going to come. And if you're endgame, what are we doing? We're collecting heroes. This is a hero collector. Collect, collect, collect. People are talking about his Awakenings. No question, his Awakenings are great. This A1's really cool. It'll take some more HP for tankiness. You don't really need it. Increasing the slowing effect, that's excellent, right? I believe I think it's going to go up from 50 to 75%. It doesn't really get into specifics here, but it's gots to be. It's gots to be, right? So when Boiling Brine is queuing up, so when he's ulting, I believe it's going to jump from 50%, as we see here, typically to 75. He's a really cool hero. He's a real like luxury awesome hero. If you can get this, the -3 cost, he is a normally priced legendary defender as it is at 19 costs, but then you can get him down to 16. All of a sudden, that is just nuts. And then his A5, Booyah, during his ultimate when surrounding enemies are killed, increases the duration by 1 second, so he can end up extending, as long as enemies keep dying around him, the duration of this by a full 10 seconds from 25 when max skill to 35. Think of it kind of like how Hex or Hex or Idril can keep upping their ultimate. Not as infinite as this, but an extra 10 seconds. It's kind of looking like Zilitu's A3 or something like that, right? Anyway, guys, I think I'll wrap it up there. I hope I answered a bunch of questions. I do realize I'm coming off with a ton of nervous energy right now. I had to one-take this. I will have a couple little cuts, but I do have to get to dinner, and I really wanted to get this out because everyone's been asking. I really hope you can understand. I've been working my little tushy off lately, so I hope it's you guys like this stuff. I hope you like this stuff. What more can I say? Check out my Gear Aid 4 guide. Ask me any questions in the comments. Anything I don't get to tonight, I'll get to tomorrow. And of course, we're having an enormous pool party tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that will be 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. They switched all the times. So it's going to be 2 p.m. UK time, GMT, and it is going to be 3 p.m. CET, European time. Daylight savings, you are so confusing. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I have been Fastidious. If you like my stuff, like it, comment, subscribe, share with your mother. I'll see you in the next one.
Fastidious.